Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 52 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on March 2nd, 2021. How you folks doing? I'm doing well. I hope you are too. The weather's still crazy. We're having wild temperature swings, but I'm thinking it's going to normalize soon. I'm pretty optimistic about that. And some good silencer testing should happen pretty soon. Very excited about that. Trying to gear up for that and getting everything ready. We've got a lot of stuff to test. And man, I have been getting a lot of testing requests. Actually some Form 1 stuff, some manufacturer stuff, all kinds of stuff. Social media has really been blowing up lately with regard to silencer test data. It's a good thing, I think. I think it's good. Silencer testing is like, man, why is he talking about silencer testing? Well, you should know that, as always, the J Situation Podcast is brought to you by Pew Science. It's pushing the silencer industry forward, one test at a time. Visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating, the simplest and most accurate hearing safe ratings for your suppressed small arms. The suppression rating is in section 5 of the Silencer Sound Standard. It's all there on the website. The standard walks you through gunshot noise. It's like Wikipedia, not quite as tedious, and it's pretty cool because it's about silencers. There are 7 parts. They're all on pewscience.com for you to read. If you haven't dug into it, dude, it's fine. Skip to section 5. That's a suppression rating. That's going to form the basis for what you're looking at, all right? It's going to let you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to sound at the muzzle and to the shooter's ear. And it even gives you a hearing safe dose limit for the particular platforms on which the silencers are tested. This is pretty unique stuff. It is rather new. You will not find it anywhere else in the world. So if you go there, buckle up because it's kind of crazy. The 6th section of the standard has all the reviews. All right? You can go check them out. And if you don't want to, if it's too much to read, if it's too much stuff, you say, hey, Jay, I don't have time for all this reading. Okay? I'm like, roger that, sir. Head on to section 7, or ma'am, head on to section 7 of the standard, and there's a simple database tool for you to sort. Okay? That's the rankings section on pewscience.com. You can sort and view the suppression ratings for all the publicly released test data there. Okay? There are links to the individual reviews in the database. So, I know you said you didn't want to read, but I guarantee you, once you look at the table and you see the different stuff, you're probably going to find something that interests you. No problem. There's links there. It'll take you back to section 6 and you can read to your heart's content. All right? As always, if you are a manufacturer or, I don't know, a distributor or anybody, and you really want to use Pew Science for private testing and consultant services, you say, I got this silencer problem. I got this system I want to characterize. Can Pew Science help me do that? The answer is yes. There is a form on the website with which you can submit that type of inquiry to Pew Science. Your contact information and all the test data that we generate for you is, of course, held in strict confidence, unless, of course, you would like to release it. And hey, man, totally okay with publishing data for you. If we do testing for you and generate data and you want to show the world, I have absolutely no problem doing that. It's up to you. If you contract us for test data, then that's your data. We've done that a couple times. So you can go to pewscience.com. Some of the reviews, you'll see a disclaimer in there. So that's what that's all about. Just so happens that one of our clients paid us for some R&D, and they ended up liking the results and liking what they saw. They say, hey, Jay, can you publish the results of our test program on your website? And I say, yes, I can. And I did. So there you go. You can support this podcast, Pew Science, and our testing by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. And, you can always give us a good rating there on the podcast and the podcast providers if you're into that. You can spread the word, tell your friends, keep grinding on social media. The Pew Science Army, you folks are aggressive, and I like that because, you know what you want. I like that. Don't be afraid to tell folks about it. I think that helps everybody. Through education, we can definitely make progress on firearm and silencer awareness. And, the more people that understand something, and the more people that understand the phenomena of small arms and suppressing small arms, the more comfortable people are with them. And the more comfortable someone is with something, the more normalized it becomes. And when you normalize something, it stands a better chance of sticking around. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? So let's all remember that. You get new shooters into silencers. That's great. Spread the gospel. There you go. Okay. I got 5 topics for you today. First topic. Oh man, the SIG P210. A unicorn with its horn. Threading is complete. The prophecy has been fulfilled. We'll talk about that. Topic 2. New sound signature review this week. Oh my God, yes. Mostly stress is why I'm saying this, because I haven't written it yet. Topic 3. Manufacturer claims coming out of the woodwork, I tell you what. The Mute. You guys seen this silencer? The Canooter Valve. You guys seen this silencer? I tell you what, man. Well, I'm gonna have to talk about some of those. Topic 4. The AAC Illusion 9. Some initial observations to share. I may or may not have fired off a little bit of something, a little pop with that guy. Topic 5. Welcome to new Pew Science members, and thanks for your support. Okay, we're going to get started here. Topic 1 at a time of 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Topic 1, the SIG P210, a unicorn with its horn, threading complete. Yes. I am here to tell you that, in fact, the prophecy has been fulfilled. It is finished. Sitting right here on my desk, guys. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? Let me grab it. Okay. This is one of those things. Let me eject the mag. Okay. You know how, I don't know if this was like a game when you were a kid or something. Probably not, because I'm just thinking about it. But you ever do something and then this person's supposed to guess what it is if you just hear it and you don't see it? All right. So this right here. So I just, I racked the slide. I'm going to do something else. Okay. So this firearm, did the slide being released sound a little weird? It probably did, because there's a silencer on it. So the silencer has an inertial decoupler. And if you've ever sat around and you've hand cycled your slide by on a suppressed pistol, a semi-automatic pistol, by pulling it back by hand and then letting it go, not riding it home, but letting it go so it snaps forward. You'll know that when you do that, you kind of hear a little bit of mechanical noise as it closes, and that's because of the momentum of the slide being transferred into the piston assembly, which is really not what happens when you shoot a gun with a inertial decoupler, right? The purpose of an inertial decoupler, or a Nielsen device, or a booster, which I really don't like the term booster because it's not correct. But the reason for an inertial decoupler is to essentially let the mass of the silencer stay at rest and let the barrel move rearward as if the silencer wasn't there. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Because every object has what we when just starting from rest before a dynamic load is applied, every object has what's called inertial resistance, right? An inertial resistance, and the amount of force it takes to move an object with inertial resistance is just the mass of the object times the acceleration that you're imparting upon it, or you want it to impart, or you want to be imparted upon it. Like, how fast do you want it to accelerate, right? You multiply that times its mass, and that's how much force it takes to get it going. And that force is called inertial resistance. So that's your simple physics lesson for the day, but you guys knew that, or maybe you didn't. But that's why we have inertial decouplers, because you hang something heavy off the barrel there, and it can't. Sometimes the silencer, or I'm sorry, the pistol won't be able to cycle properly. So that's why. So anyway, so when I just did that, you heard the spring in there hitting, and so yeah. So anyway, back to the P210. It is, and I have an AAC Illusion 9 on it right now. We'll talk about that later in the podcast. But oh man, I love this pistol. It's smooth. I really like this, threaded like this. It fits my hand really well. The slide sits low in the frame. Everything's tight and solid. The trigger's really crisp. It's just nice, man. It's nice. I really want to test the sound signature compared with the SIG P226 and the HK P30L. You know, for a lot of silencers, the P30L, no, excuse me. The P30L is just ever so slightly quieter to the shooter than the SIG P226. It's interesting. And it might be plastic versus metal frequency differential or something from the action dynamics of the actual weapon. The lockup seems to be very similar in the waveforms. And I'm kind of wondering how the P210 is going to look, in waveform space, in pressure and impulse space. The waveforms you've seen on pewscience.com. I want to see what. I don't have the sound signature fingerprints of the P210 yet. I have not metered the pistol, not measured it. My silencer industry colleague, gentleman, great guy. He's been shooting his. He's one of the three guys, me and him, and then Mike Smith. All three of us got our barrels threaded by Mike at a different Mike, the Mike at Tornado Tech up in Oregon. Threaded all our barrels. He's a really nice person. Been in the game for a very long time. And so my new buddy, I guess I kind of met him relatively in the past few months. He's a nice guy. He has been shooting his, and he's been liking it suppressed. I believe he's been shooting a Tyrant. Is it a Tyrant 9 or 45M in the short configuration? I know he's shooting a short AAC silencer on his, and he's liking it. Today I may or may not have done a few pops with it today. A little something, little pop. I keep that thing on me. Yeah, I may or may not. It's good. It works well. I'll tell you about it in a little bit, but it's so smooth, and it functions really well suppressed with the Illusion 9. It's really pretty nice. I'm just very happy with the gun. The interesting thing, like I've said before about the P210, is this is basically a 1911 chambered in 9mm with a breech lockup of a SIG. And I don't. So it's not really 1911 at all then, but it's similar to a 1911 in that it's single stack, it's narrow, single action, and steel. So basically all the cool features of the 1911, but with the improvements that the SIG platform offers. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and it doesn't have a grip safety. I like that. All right, grip safeties are weird. I'm like still holding on the gun. I'm going to put it down. It's like, I don't want to put it down. Yeah. So funny enough, what's really interesting? I'm on this kick right now with these types of guns. I picked up the somewhat rare AAC 1911 that Remington produced as a package deal with the AAC Tyrant 45. The reason for this acquisition was because I did need a Tyrant 45 because reasons. Okay, well, I needed one because I don't have one, but also I need to test it. So I was like, I'm just going to buy it. And, they're not making many more. So I was like, well, I better find one now. And so I bought that. And I also needed a 1911. Because, guys, I did not have a 1911 up to this point. Like, if you can believe that. I've just never been a 1911 guy. It's crazy, right? So, I know. So, I thought it was crazy. I was talking about how the SIG lockup is good for silencers. And people have told me that the 1911 lockup is good too. And I haven't done PSOF testing of 1911 silencers, 1911 actions. And so I would like to differentiate the action signature between a 1911 and a SIG and an FN and an HK. I think that would be neat. I think I would probably need a 9mm 1911 eventually, so I can do that too. So, that's something on the books that I have as a goal for some of this research. And so that's why I'm just kind of leaning into this a bit and acquiring some hosts slowly but surely. Like, I'm not making any rash decisions, but I am making intelligent host purchase decisions, so that we can definitely shore up the test apparatus for future evaluation. Okay. In messing with the Remington, so it's a Remington R1 AAC 1911. Okay, so Remington makes a 1911 called the R1. This one, it's chambered in 45 SCP. This one was made back in the AAC days of Remington, kind of during this transition, and I have determined that it's probably not as well put together as the SIG P210, but that's definitely to be expected. I mean, look, first of all, the only other Remington firearm I own is an 870 Police Magnum, which is, okay, that's a factory short barrel shotgun. It was like, man, I got that tax stamp a long time ago. Like, that's like way over 10 years ago. I got that tax stamp. That gun will rust if you look at it wrong. Okay, it's garbage. It's parkerized, I think. It's just like, it's a garbage finish. You would think it would be okay, but it's not. I do need to get it. I think I'm going to get it blasted or something and then refinished. I need to do something to if anyone is listening and they know a really awesome way to get your 870 Police Magnum refinished. What would be really cool? I feel like would be really cool is refinishing it and putting some nice wood furniture on it instead of the weird black plastic stuff it has. I think some nice wood would be cool. I think that'd be cool. Like No Country for Old Men shotgun. If only we had a silencer that would work. Remington is not known for their stellar quality, I will say. I just don't think they are. I mean, they're mass producing stuff, but I will say, so far, this 1911 is pretty neat. It's pretty neat, dude. Trigger seems fine. It's not SIG P210 good, but it's not bad. The sights are easy to see. You can see over the silencer with them. They're silencer height sights. I like that. It's a dedicated silencer gun. The barrel threading's nice. The grips are nice. The grip, has those AAC skull logo grips. That's pretty dope. I think that's pretty dope. The finish seems decent for now. We'll see. And honestly, the grip safety is the only weird thing to me. What a weird grip safeties are so weird. Totally not needed. But it's a 1911, so I did a poll on Instagram, and this kind of freaked me out. Well, it didn't freak me out, but it was weird. And a lot of people voted. Like, the sample size was quite large. 52% of the people preferred the SIG P210. I was like, dude, I thought that would be a favorite by way more people. So, like, I posted the picture, the SIG P210 barrel. The SIG P210 threaded and the 1911 threaded. They both have their thread protectors on. No silencer in the picture. No mention of caliber. I'm just saying they're steel single stack pistols, and they're sitting there on my desk, and I take a picture. I put a poll, say, hey, who did it better? And 52%. So it's basically neck and neck. I was like, wow. I was like, you guys are going to make me look at 1911s more, aren't you? I was like, man, people really like 1911s. Or maybe it was just the AAC. Maybe it was because it was the AAC 1911, so it had the cool, nostalgia type grips and everything. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But I was very surprised. First of all, I was surprised at the level of engagement. A lot of people voted. 2, I was surprised at the results. So I don't know. I think I'm getting my steel pistol itch scratched right now. Don't get me wrong. I love the aluminum framed P226 and the polymer framed HK, and even I carry a Glock. Like, it has its place. But dang, man, something about that steel frame. And, again, the sound signature is something interesting to characterize with regard to material differences. Another thing I'm sort of interested in is pistol length. That is the barrel length, and if there are any action types that can keep short barrel pistols closed longer, or long enough so that the difference isn't as great to the shooter compared to a long barrel pistol. You see what I mean? Because there's handguns, and when I say pistol, I mean pistol. Like, I know you guys are making pistols with your braces and blah blah. It's like, relax. It's really actually tedious to like have to make that disclaimer all the time but I want to make sure that I'm not misleading you by talking about like a rifle. I'm not talking about a shoulder fire, I'm talking about a 9mm handgun. Okay, a pistol. The thing about pistols, and I've said this before, is that when you suppress them, depending on the length of silencer you use, you're going to get a signature out of the end cap, and you're going to get a signature out of the ejection port. And the timing and action dynamics of the system are going to be dependent upon the silencer and the gun. And you may find that sound at the shooter's ear can be similar between a full-size silencer and a short silencer. So my previous point here that I was trying to make or talk about is that, like, I wonder if, I should say, in addition to what I just said, the shorter barrel you have, typically the higher pressure coming out of the muzzle. So if you shorten a pistol barrel, like let's say you go from a Glock 17 to a Glock 19, or you go from a SIG P226 to a P228. You feel me? When you do that, the uncorking pressure, or when the bullet leaves the muzzle crown, and that jetting that the muzzle blast that follows the bullet is going to be higher with a shorter barrel. Okay? So that's typically louder, all other things equal. But to the shooter, a lot of your sound signature on a semi-automatic pistol is going to be coming from the ejection port. So a lot of times the muzzle signature, although it is louder with a short silencer, meaning it's suppressing the overall system less, although it's louder at the muzzle, it's often similar in total sound dose to the shooter's ear during the shot. So one asks the question, like one would postulate, well, does that mean that we might be able to use short pistol silencers? Does that mean we might be able to use short pistols and have them sound the same to us at the ear? And do we need long silencers for that? Or short silencers? Like, take a full-size pistol and a compact pistol and put a short silencer on both and see what happens. Then take a long pistol and a short pistol and put a long silencer on both and see what happens. And I think different combinations of silencers, long and short, and pistols, long and short, will result in different loads. So if you're looking for the absolute most efficient combination, then I think we could figure that out. And I bet you there's some rules of thumb. And so that's something I've been thinking about. I'm like, man, like, I know, like, the hot topic right now is AR-15, and believe me, we're still doing bolt action, but we got AR-15 on deck. We got a lot of stuff figured out for that already. We've been talking about, but I just started thinking about handguns recently, just because well, the P210 and this 1911 and everything. And I just started thinking of all the different research studies that could be done that would really answer questions that I feel people have been asking for over a decade that no one ever freaking has good data for. No one ever can. You hear all the answers. So, someone will go on a forum online and be, hey, so like what's quieter, this pistol or this pistol? And then like you'll get one group of people who says this and another group of people said that. I'm like, none of that's right. So I feel like we should do that testing. And I feel like there's a demand for it and I can tell you that because I'm a silencer consumer and I want to know. And if I want to know, I know there's tons of other people who do. And that's one of the things I'm running Pew Science. Like one of the reasons I'm running Pew Science, guys, is because like I know the market because I am the market. And I think a lot of people thought this was a dumb idea until they saw that it wasn't. And I was like, told you. Okay, I totally got off track there. Oh, right. Yeah, so short pistols. So I was thinking, I have done some testing on the Glock 19, but not enough. And, oh man. So I'm giving some thoughts to some different test matrices and how we would isolate the variables like I was just talking about and how we would come to the conclusions in the most efficient manner. What would be the best suite of pistols to test? Which silencers would we use? We do need to test the silencers themselves first. So, like for the standardized 9mm pistol host, I'm still sticking with the HK P30L, unless of course I end up testing a 9mm 1911 that just knocks your socks off. Like, what if I get one of those? Like, what is it? STI? Don't they make one? Everyone likes it. Is that single stack or double stack? If it's double stack and all fat and stuff, I might like the single stack better. Something about it. I mean, my hands are pretty normal size, I think. Like, they're not like huge, crazy hands, but they're definitely not tiny hands. So, like, they're normal hands. So, like, the SIG P226 feels good to me, but the SIG P210 feels better. So, I'm like, is there I don't know. And then the HK P30L feels like, I don't know. That gun's sexual. I don't care what you say, man. The P30L is, man, you hold that, you're like, oh my God, like why is anyone else making a gun? It's like the best feeling gun you're ever gonna pick up. So yeah, that's just good enough reason to use the HK. Just 'cause I just like holding it. It's so nice. So yeah, It's and also because it takes me such a long time to test and I barely ever get time to shoot recreationally, I get to shoot my gun. So that's always good. I am not going to use the SIG P210 for a test host. That's not happening. Okay, we're going to test it, but we're not. It's not getting gangbanged by all these other silencers. Okay, that's not happening. Okay, there's like a dedicated silencer for that gun. So you got the Glock 19. You got the SIG, the 229, 228. You got the regular size P30. You got the commander size 1911s. Logic would dictate that they would be louder, but would they be louder to the shooter is the question. And I postulate that not necessarily. And it's a mystery, man. But I've, like I said, just to iterate for a second, I have not seen this solved empirically or analytically anywhere. So frankly, to be frank, I just figured out that short 9mm silencers could be just as quiet to the shooter. Like, who knew that? As full-size silencers, like, who knew that? Who has ever told you that? Who has ever told you, well, I like this short silencer because it's basically the same to me as the long one on the pit. Like, if someone told you that a year ago, you would call them crazy and a liar, wouldn't you? Yeah. Okay. So, I just learned that and published it. And if I just learned it, that means you did. So unless you've shot the guns enough and and you're like, yeah, Jay, I could have told you that. Like, okay, well, look at the big brain on you. But I didn't know. I was scared to shoot him without hearing protection a lot. So I need the suppression rating to tell me. Anyway. Yeah. I don't know. I think all in all, that is an incredibly groundbreaking conclusion from the suppression rating. It is amazing that we know that now. It is really amazing. So, all in all, we've got a lot of pistol work to do. And when I started speaking about pistol stuff a while back. A lot of you sounded off about CZ pistols. And, they just bought Colt, didn't they? So, like, they already had Den Wesson, so that was a thing. And now it's like CZ. Could we get, like, CZ Super Crazy 1911 Improvement Initiative going on now? Like, they have Colt and Den Wesson? Oh, man. Possibly. Or probably not. Probably not going to do anything. All right. Topic 2. At a time of 30 minutes, Jesus. 30 minutes and 21 seconds. Is it 30 minutes on that? Topic 2. New sound signature review this week. Okay, I am super behind, and I haven't even written it yet, but it's being written. I can assure you that. I started it last night, I think, or something like that. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm gonna take a detour and explore a cartridge you've never seen from Pew Science. So that's a hint for you. Okay. Just real quick though, we're not gonna go crazy with this cartridge, but I am gonna show it to you because I think there's been demand, frankly, and I'm just like, you know what? You're going to get it. You're going to get what you get. We're just doing it. We'll test the waters. And someone might be like, well, why'd you do this? Or why'd you do that? I'll be like, well, this is why. And maybe I'll get some feedback and it'll put us in a different direction. But regardless, I'm doing something. I'm doing something a little different. It's going to be great. Now, don't worry. We're going to be back filling in the knowledge gaps soon enough. But this is special, so you're going to have to bear with me. But I'll show it to you. All right? First of all, I have to do some analysis, which is super freaking fun. So that'll be neat. I just need more time. And then I need to figure out how to present the results to you in a way that's going to be meaningful and useful. I was looking at it last night in a way. Oh, excuse me again. I was looking at it last night. I was trying to figure out, man, what is the best way to show this to you? I got to figure this out. So I'm gonna do that after this podcast. But it's also, I love it. It's so fun. It's super fun trying to figure out how to show you information and data. It's really something I really enjoy. I might have to show you, I might have to show you some unsuppressed waveform comparisons too. I don't really do that a lot just because it's like, you can bog things down, but that might be useful to you. So that's something I'm considering. There are a lot of little things I think I could do to help you understand different platforms. One thing I do want to start looking at. It is something that has been bugging me a little bit, and I want to start exploring why is 6.5 Creedmoor easier to suppress than 308? Why is that? Like all other things equal, why is that? Like I just don't know enough about the cartridge, I guess. So I need to figure that out. I don't know, man. It's hard when you don't have any like true apples to apples setups for comparisons. Baby steps. I guess I'll get that eventually. So anyway, stay tuned for more data analysis this week. I think I'm going to like it, which means that you're going to like it. I guarantee it. Now, topic 3 at a time of, I did that one fast. Topic 3 at a time of 33 minutes and 10 seconds. Oh, man. And this was one. I'm going to get a drink of water. 1 second. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh man. Manufacturer claims coming out of the woodwork. And I feel like it's happening. You know what? I don't know. The mute, the Canooter Valve, all this stuff. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is like recently. I don't know if it's because now when people see stuff, they immediately tag me on social media, which, hey, I have no problem with that. Like, keep doing that. That's cool. And I see that you're not only tagging me to like let me know about it, but you're telling other people that's probably weird. I don't think Pew Science has tested that. And so you're like, we're raising awareness of like the Silencer sound standard, which helps everyone because like we're trying to get this standardized so like everyone understands how loud things are. So I think that's probably why, but it was like actually pretty crazy because this past weekend, like I was out to dinner. David from Discreet Ballistics and my fiance, we were eating. I met David was down here in Texas, and he was like, "Hey man, I'm downtown. You want to get something to eat?" I'm like, "Yeah, man." So we were hanging out, and like even then, like people were like, I was sitting there. I was like, I was getting a table. I was about to send a text. I go to my phone, and like my phone is just like blown up from this thing called the mute. And I was like, what on God's green earth is this? I had my speculations, but I was like, some company, man, they're making this plastic or aluminum. I think it's plastic. I don't even know, because they're listing some kind of material. They're not giving the name of it. And it's like, what is this? It's like monocore. It was like a flow-through monocore. It's like an OSS, I guess, or like a MaxFlow NG2, or what's that company, MaxFlow? It's like OSS, but different. It has like a windmill inside it or something. It's like a pinwheel. So you can go to the circus, like, do, 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 do. I don't know. It's weird. It's like that moving parts. Like, you probably shouldn't put that in the silencer. Probably a bad idea. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like that. So there's a flow through. I don't know. It's basically, it's silencers manufactured by the folks who say they're not using baffles. But they're baffles. But it's just, they're flow shaping apparatus, which is a baffle, really. Because if it was no baffle, it would essentially be just a tube. I guess they're not baffles in the traditional sense, but they are. So it's just a weird thing to say. I don't know. Yeah. So that's what I think the mute is. It's basically a type of silencer that lets gas out very quickly, so there's not as much back pressure. Okay, but in doing so, it's typically very loud. That's because it doesn't keep the gas in, and keeping gas in is what makes silencers quiet. Because despite all the work you would want the silencer to do to the gas, inside you can't do enough of it fast enough to not be more effective by just trapping it longer. Turns out silencers aren't big enough. Turns out silencers are not big enough to be crazy wizards. You just got to keep the gas in. That's pretty much what we figured out, right? In our research so far, we figured out that the more pads you have for the gas to keep them in there for a while, keep the gas in there, the quieter the silencer is. That's pretty much what we've been seeing. There's some outliers here and there, like there's some scatter in the data, but overall, what have we seen? It takes a long time to get gas out of quiet silencers. Okay, that's not an opinion. That is what happens, and you can see the data on pewscience.com. You can actually physically look at the impulse waveforms and see that. So apparently, this company did what a typical company would do, a marketing launch, where they give their product or products to a lot of contracted marketing folks, so they can disseminate the information on social media and get exposure. That's what marketing. That's called influencer marketing. I think that's what that's called. So I think this was on Friday. Yeah. So it's first started Friday mid-morning. I was working. Social media is going crazy, tagging Pew Science accounts. I was like, So I took a look, and someone made a sound testing video of a relatively loud silencer, and it's probably not backed by a lot of real data. This is not going to end well. Like, this was my internal dialogue with myself. I was like, this is probably going to be bad. What we call a social media comments dumpster fire. And sure enough, turns out it didn't end well. Folks did give their opinions directly on the page there. Yeah. So yeah. So there was that happened, and I looked at that and I was like, dang man, I finally ended up responding, just thanking the people for tagging Pew Science. I said, hey, thanks guys, and we've worked really hard to characterize, objective sound data, and we're here if you ever need us. I didn't really want to get involved with all the arguments, but I did want to kind of let you know that I'm there. I am seeing it. Trust me, I am. And then some other folks, there was another thing that folks sent to me, and this is something I've seen for, it might be over a year. People have been sending this to me. It's called a Canooter Valve. I think it's by a company named Wit Machine, I believe their name is. It's interesting name. I Googled it. I had to Google it. It is I looked at a little picture there. It's a monocore silencer. Monocore meaning that the core is one piece, and then they machine out pieces and then they drill a hole through the, axially through the center there, and make a center orifice. Yeah. So this monocore has 3 or 4 baffles in it, basically. Pretty old school. Pretty old school stuff. Pretty small rifle silencer. It's a rifle silencer. It's probably, if I had to guess, and look, you got to take this with a grain of salt because I have not tested this thing. I've never heard one. I've never shot one. I'm going to guess. It's probably as effective as something like a YHM Resonator K, maybe less effective. Maybe like a short version of the Rugged Radiant. Maybe a little bit more effective than that. It has 3 baffles, 3 or 4 baffles. it's right. So it's small. So it's like, well, and the baffles aren't really advanced, right? They're like little. So it's like, how much could it do? Like, you know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Like, I'm like, So like that's kind of my. A lot of people have been asking me about it. I was like, well, I'll give an opinion. I'll give an educated guess about how I think it would stack up. Like, well, I think if you put it on a 20-inch 308 bolt action supersonic, the suppression rating at the ear, it's probably going to be below 30. I'm going to guess. Would it be? I would be surprised. I would definitely be surprised if it was higher than that. And if it was, hey, good for them. All right, I guess. I don't know. What was look at the rankings on pewscience.com. Yeah, the Resonator K got a 27 at the ear. Yeah, I don't see it beating that. No. You could. I've been wrong. The Sandman K was 24. Yeah. What, you going to be quieter than a Sandman K? Maybe. Razor's 28 at the ear. Yeah, I don't know. Will I test it? Probably not. I don't think enough people have it to make the testing worthwhile. Eventually I'll have to test it, but is that on my list for the near term? No, it's not. If Whip Machine is listening and they would like me to evaluate it, I certainly will. I think no problem, but as far as consumer demand, I haven't seen much interest in that, I'll tell you what. So I don't know. I just thought I'd mention it. Yeah. But the manufacturer, one of the reasons I was mentioning this is because the manufacturer, and people sent me this, and this is not speculation because people told me to look at this, and they sent me these messages, and they sent me links to where people were saying this, and they said the manufacturer's been calling it hearing safe on an AR-15. I said, okay. Okay. Well, this is why I bring this up. So first talk about the mute, then we talk about this thing, this Canooter Valve. I say, hey, these are 2 recent cases of which I was made aware. I'm not picking on these guys. This is just literally the only reason I brought up these 2 is because they were in the past day or 2. I swear there's a lot more than these guys. So don't think I'm picking on these guys because I'm not picking on them. I'm just using them as an example right now. And there's about 200 others that do the same things. But these are 2 recent cases of hearing safe claims for silencers. They're totally unrelated cases, unrelated silencers, unrelated companies and manufacturers. I don't even know the mute. I don't even know if that's really a silencer, for one. Don't even know what the company is. I Googled them right before I started this. I don't know even if it's real. I think they might be in Oklahoma. I don't know. No idea. Okay, so I don't think they have anything to do with Whip Machine. So this is you know what I mean? It's 2 completely different things. But the theme is common. It is actually the same. You put out specs and performance parameters to the public to advertise a product, and the performance parameters have not undergone scrutiny from third-party testing. Okay? So this is not just them. This is why I started Pew Science. Okay, this is why I started. This is why I'm doing this. I don't want folks buying into stuff that might not be all it's cracked up to be, and then you're left dead in the water with a $200 tax stamp and a loud silencer. to be frank, that's the reality. Okay, I mean, there's a lot of other reasons to do that I started Pew Science, but that is a big thing that I've experienced. And I mean, dang, man, that sucks. You wait all that time. Come on, man. I'm not saying sound is the most important thing, and I've never said that. Okay? I mean, look, you know what? As a matter of fact, before I go on, you go to the rankings section, pewscience.com, section 7 of the Silencer Sound Standard. You can see 9. There are 9 things listed there. Host weapon characteristics, barrel length and action type, cartridge, ammunition type, accuracy influence on the host weapon, flow restriction or back pressure, durability and maintenance factors, total weight and size envelope, sound signature suppression, flash signature suppression. Out of the 9 things, the sound's in 1. One thing out of 9. And this is a list of overall silencer operational performance parameters. Some are related, some aren't. But there's a bunch of stuff to think about when you're looking at a silencer. And that 8th thing, the sound signature suppression, I'll be damned if I don't improve that in the industry. Okay? Or at least the measuring of it and the understanding of it. So again, I am not saying sound is the most important thing, but if you're gonna buy something based on the sound reduction advertisement, well, then sound is important to you. So it may as well be the most important thing. Not all of my stuff is like, hey, AAC Illusion 9, is that the quietest 9mm silencer? No. Is it on my P210 right now? You bet your butt it is. So look, I understand the value of silencers that may not be the quietest, but we need to know how to measure it. We need to know how to interpret it, and we need to know how to get the data to everybody. Okay, so you know what's really interesting about this? You can see in the mute social media post how folks have offered to test it. You see they're like, I'll test your silencer. You send it to me. Like, what? And then you Google the whip machine Canooter Valve, and you can see folks that tested that one. But all the testing the social media folks offer to do, and the social media folks did for the Canooter Valve, all this stuff, it's not that helpful though. All right, so let me elaborate. I'm going to drive this point. I don't know if you even see where I'm going with this, but this is important. I was speaking with a Pew Science member this week, and it is only Tuesday right now. I was speaking with this guy. He's a good guy. Shout out, sir. He's a cool dude. We talk every once in a while. He was asking me about some research I had published, specifically about one of the members' research supplements in which I had compared some silencers: the Razor, the Trash Panda, the Sam NS. I think it was. I think there's those 3. There might have been another one in there. It might have had more. It's fine. Doesn't matter. But what this gentleman said, he noted that when he was looking at 2 of the silencers, one silencer had higher pressure and impulse at the ear than the other silencer. Okay. But the suppression rating for that silencer that had the higher pressure and impulse at the ear was quieter. The suppression rating was higher. He was like, what am I missing? I told him, you're not missing anything. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes peak pressure and impulse amplitudes don't tell the whole story. And because of that, we need the suppression rating. There's more than just the peaks. The wave shape plays a role. The frequency content plays a role. And all of this stuff plays a role in exciting the human inner ear differently. That is why things sound better or worse to your ears. Amplitude, frequency, shape, timing. It's all there. And tell you what, guys, and the members who have seen this stuff, that have seen the inner ear analysis, that, like, when you look at it, like, that's what I'm using. Like, the suppression rating is based on that type of analysis. The suppression rate, like, I don't just look at the peak pressure and impulse and hold my finger up to the wind and, oh, yep, higher pressure must be louder. Dude, if that were the case, we wouldn't even need this. Okay? Like so many people are focusing on the peak sound pressure that I'm just like, are you seriously? And to their credit, I am publishing it, but it's like, well, if I didn't put the peak sound pressure in there, people wouldn't take it seriously. But now people are realizing, oh, you're saying that more stuff matters. It's like, yes, I am. I am saying that. It's like for years, people were like, well, I like the tone of this silencer. And everyone was like, but you can't quantify that. It's like, yeah, but now you can. Because it's built into the suppression rating. Okay. So the folks offering, so in the mute social media posts, some folks offered to test the Canooter Valve. People and multiple people. I'm not picking on anyone. I'm not picking on anyone in particular. Okay, there's multiple people who've been asking these companies I go and I don't offer to test. You notice that, right? You tag me on the social media. You think I go in there and say I will be happy to test your silencer. Please send it to me. I've never once done that. I have never once done that, and I never will. If they want to test with me, they can. They know where to find. You think I don't? You should go to the website. You can see that I offer testing services. If they want to test, they will, but they're not going to do it. What you think I'm going to go on a social media post and call someone out and try to bully them into send me a silencer? I will never do that. That's not right. So they know, but these other people will. They all do, actually. You see it, right? You see they go in there and they go to the social media post and say, oh, you can send it to me. I'll use a XYZ meter and it'll be great. It's like, okay, well, they can. That's fine. Do whatever you want. But what are the results going to mean? And then what are they doing with the data they gather? You know what I mean? Jelly bean? Like, why do you think Pew Science shows full waveforms on pewscience.com? Why do you think I sample so quickly? I'm seriously, like, if you are an engineer or a scientist dealing in data acquisition, you know why. It's because I need to be able to recreate the wave shape to the best of my ability and not bottleneck my results processing. That's why. That's why I use data acquisition like I do. That's why I created PewSoft, because I needed it to do. This is in the frequently asked questions on pewscience.com, by the way. There's a reason. You can go to frequently asked questions on pewscience.com. You can see why I made PewSoft. I had no choice. The more data I have, the more I can analyze. And for those of you just tuning into this, man, like I know, believe me, I know this can be confusing. I do. And that's okay. But there is one thing I want you to do if you have time. Okay? I want you to do this. In a lot of the 308 supersonic reviews, and some of the other reviews, I guess, too, I've really zoomed in on the time scale in the data for the first shot to show you the early time sound signature fingerprint of each silencer. Have you guys noticed I've been doing that? You might be like, why is he doing that? Well, note how there are multiple peaks happening. Sometimes the peaks are decreasing in magnitude as time goes on. Like after the bullet leaves, sometimes the peaks go down. Sometimes they're increasing. Sometimes they go up. Sometimes the peaks coalesce and combine into different weird peaks. There's a lot of stuff happens in the early time. There's all kinds of stuff going on. It's actually very complicated. And that's why we measure it. Because measuring is really great. You don't have to guess, right? Well, after you see all that, after you look at those figures, I want you to ask yourself, if someone is just reporting a peak decibel value to you, where is it occurring in time? Which value are they reporting? Can they tell you? Will they tell you? And if they can't tell you, that means that they don't know. And if they do tell you, if they give you a number, if they give you a timestamp, ask them to see the entire waveform, so they can prove it. The chances of you getting the entire waveform, like all the waveforms from each shot in a silencer test published like they are on pewscience.com, is zero. It's a zero chance. Because you're not going to see it. There's technical reasons why you're not going to see it. Like I'm not saying that because I don't think people can do it. Trust me, I don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm not trying to badmouth any methodology or apparatus or people. I'm just telling you, there's a technical reason why they can't show you. There's some technical issues, and it's not my job to highlight them. Okay, I'm not going to teach them how to do my job. See, eventually this gets to the point of like I don't have to show all my cards. But yeah, there's a reason why they're not going to show you their data, and once they do, like, let's pretend they did, and then ask them for the impulse waveforms. Okay, and then they'll spend 10 years on that. So, anyway, yeah, the chances of that is zero. So, anyway, if you're gonna look at that data, do it, dude. Totally cool, by all means. Hey, fine, look at it if you want. I mean, who am I to tell you what to look at? But if you do decide to look at that single peak type of data, know that that you don't know where the peaks are occurring, and it's sampled slower, so it's probably truncated, and it's filtered, so it's probably fictitious. And even if you saw the full waveform, it would be shifted in time, and it wouldn't be shifted in time uniformly, because each of the different magnitudes would be shifted in time differently due to phase shift from filtering. There's a lot of different stuff that those filters do. I actually haven't spoke about it in quite a while because I didn't think it would be relevant. I mean, I thought people pretty much already knew all this was wrong, but it's been coming up because apparently, I don't know why. It's been coming up more. So, okay, well, I'll address it on the podcast. I haven't spoken about it in a while, but this is important for you to understand. There are different. You'll hear this term in sound measurement. You'll hear people use the term A weighted, B weighted, C weighted, and Z weighted. You'll hear these terms. What they're actually saying when they're saying them is that they are, what they're doing is, or not their electronics in their data acquisition system, whether that's a handheld data acquisition system you can buy from Walmart, which is a sound meter, or a $30,000 data acquisition system marketed to be good for sound that some people in this industry use. Whatever you want to call it, what it's doing is it's applying a filter. The filter is removing certain frequencies in the waveforms such that the results. Okay, okay, I have to be very careful how I say this. The filter is removing certain frequencies so that one who interprets the results will think that is more applicable to human ear response for overall loudness by trying to mimic the different way that a human ear interprets sound over pressure. Okay, so that is a very complicated way of saying it's like okay, here's a good analogy. You go on Instagram, you take a picture of your dinner because it's cool and you've never been to the place and you're very thrilled with the steak that you bought and you want to put a filter on it to make it look cool. So you start swiping. When you take a picture with your phone, you're swiping the filter, like, oh, I like this filter. When we first had Instagram, before, like, I had Instagram, like, when it first came out. It was fun. Like, it was all about taking pictures of food. Like, but this is no drama back then. This is before Facebook owned it. We would swipe on the pictures there, and you get your different filters. What are the filters doing? Well, they're changing how you view it. The visual light has a different signature. It's changing the wavelengths. It's filtering. It's filtering the color spectra. That's what an image filter is doing. Much like that, that's what sound filters do. They filter the spectra. So that's what people are doing with their sound meters. And then sometimes they'll say things like, oh, well, we're not using weighting. We're going to apply something called Z weighting. And that means it's unfiltered. And we're going to show you raw data. And then, sometimes these people do that, whether they're manufacturers or distributors or whoever they are, dealers. But the thing about that is their equipment that they bought, that they don't have control over how it works inside the box there, the black box that they bought. It's actually not raw data. It is still filtered. They just don't know it is because they don't have the specifications because it's proprietary software. They didn't write the software. They didn't build the hardware. They don't know what they're doing with that. So, and it's not their fault. It's just they don't know. So even if they did try to not apply filters, it's still applying a filter. So then you have to ask yourself, well, okay. Well, then what are they doing? like fine, like, okay, well, at least tell us, right? You would think that, okay, if they're gonna measure like that, that's fine. Well, what's the first principle of scientific measurement? Define your parameters. At least define a sample rate. At least. And then we'll show people the waveforms. And then if you apply a filter, we'll tell them what filter it is. And just say it. That's all you got to do. But you can't just report one dang number from a waveform that's happening over a certain period of time. You can't do that. You just can't. So, there's another reason why too. It's not just showing you the waveforms to show you it's real. That's actually not why. You want to show them because you're going to be taking those waveforms and doing something with them. Like when Pew Science measures a silencer, we measure the silencer, right? That data gets dumped and archived immediately. Ultra high speed data connection to the hardware. I've written this and configured it, do it. This isn't like a, oh, we got to wait for it to do it. No, it's like really fast. It does that. And then I have it. And then I get it when I'm back in the laboratory, back in my office. I look at it and I say, hey, okay, there's my data. And I process it. And I interpret it, make sure there's nothing wrong with it. And then I start using it for analysis and modeling. And I don't just use one point out of each waveform. I'm sampling 1 million times per second. So if I used only 1 point, that would be kind of dumb, right? And if I took that 1 point out of each waveform, the maximum, and averaged it, I do report that as a summary for you to give you the average peak sound pressure, because that's true. That is the average peak sound pressure. But I'm not just using that 1 point out of 1 million points to model. Like what? Like that's crazy. So I'm using the whole waveform. So that's like, so when I tell you all this, and I know this might be exhausting for you to listen to, but I'm trying to get a point across that I thought was understood. I really thought people understood this, and sometimes I have been guilty of taking for granted what I have explained and what I've not explained. So I just want to make this clear. If there's anyone new listening to this, or anyone who's wondering, like, well, how come your data is different than so-and-so's? Well, it's because this is how you measure impulsive events. The data acquisition for dynamic analysis and dynamic testing is a discipline that is not new. It's not radical. It's just I'm applying it to an industry that never did it, at least not publicly. And the national labs that do this, and trust me, a lot of people like to say that the national labs don't know what they're doing. No, the national labs do know what they're doing. Trust me. Like I worked alongside the people of the national labs for many years, and trust me, those guys know what they're doing. And believe me, they could measure this if they wanted to. They just don't care. Okay. Trust me. And that's why I'm doing it, because I care, because I'm a gun guy. You think people that I work with would do this? Like, no, they don't care. They don't care enough. I mean, but I'm not a super genius. I'm not the only guy who can do this. Okay? So I'm just saying I'm the only one who is doing it and is going to. And so probably. So I don't know. I want you guys to know what you're getting. I'm not telling you not to look at other stuff. I'm really not. I just want you to know, if someone's telling you something, know what they're telling you, and the chances of them telling you something that's super meaningful are kind of low. A lot of times when something meters lower with a lower peak decibel reading wherever it's being measured from, a lot of times it will be quieter. But many times it won't be. And if you're not measuring right, and you're not, I mean, I'm telling you, there are so many things you have to do when you measure to you can make the measurement system tell you whatever you want it to tell you. You really can. And if you're not doing it in a repeatable way, and if you have some kind of bias, like if you own the silencer company and you're measuring silence, come on. Or if you're like you selling silencers and you're like testing silencers, like, come on. Like there's a lot of opportunities for you to sit there like, I could maybe just put the microphone a little bit closer on this one. I can maybe just put the microphone a little bit further away. You can't do that. It's going to change the answers. And you know what I mean? And so ordinarily, you might think, well, gosh, how would we even know? How would we know if someone faked the data? How would we know? Well, I tell you how you'd know. You would know that if you saw data that was faked, and you shot the silencer and the silencer was louder than what they said, well, it was fake, right? That's one way. Well, how would you know that? Well, with peak decibels, you can't know that, because a peak decibel doesn't tell you how loud something is, because it's happening too quickly. So how would you possibly know? If someone says something's 142.5 peak dB average, and it was actually 165, I'm sorry, or 100, okay, let me start over. Let's say someone says 142.5 average dB and is actually 144.5 peak average dB. 2 decibels, and how would you know? Well, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know, because a human ear can't determine that, because you have no baseline. But what if there was a suppression rating, and the suppression rating measured objective loudness, and you had just one peg point because you had a silencer you owned, and you had one of the guns. You just had one setup that was similar to what I have on pewscience.com. What if you had that? And then you saw another suppression rating. You see where I'm going with that? Okay. provable by you. You don't have to take my word for it. You can hear it yourself. It's based on human perception. So I've said this probably 5 times in the past week to people behind the scenes because there's been a lot of political issues about Pew Science. The suppression rating is one of the hardest things to compute, but one of the easiest things to verify. Okay. So if you haven't checked out the suppression rating, and members, if you haven't checked out the research supplements with the inner ear response stuff, I urge you to do that. There's a lot more to this than just peaks. It gets complicated. Okay. Let the suppression rating be your guide. Let it guide you through the forest of sound confusion. Okay. Topic 4, at a time of 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 40 seconds. I'm getting a little long-winded on that one. Topic 4. The AAC Illusion 9 initial observations. Oh boy. It's with a heavy heart that I say, I am sorry that this thing is not being made anymore, man. I like it. I freaking love the silencer, dude. I'm just looking at it right now because it's sitting on my gun. It's on my desk. It's sitting on my bob. On my desk here in my office here, I got a little it's a pretty big bobcat hide. I have a couple of bobcats in my office, but this one's just the hide. It's on my desk, and the gun's sitting on a book on there. The eccentric design is pleasing to me. I like how there are, you know what I really like about it? And this is weird. This is just like a nerd thing maybe. I like how it's really conventional baffles, but eccentric. It's so cool. Like, I've never seen anything like this. That you can take it apart. Oh, they're not just like slant baffles. These are real baffles. Excuse me. And then, I don't know. I just really like the way Mike Smith designed this. Man, it's been a couple years since I've talked to him. I just really like the way it's put together. I like the way the contour of the silencer blends in with the lines of the pistol. Like, even if it's not perfectly aligned, and that's the crazy part of it. I'm pretty sure that's why it's called the Illusion 9. It's because the thing doesn't need to be perfectly aligned to look aligned. I'm telling you, you can see how many teeth the piston has. Okay? It's because it uses those to align the top dead center of the gun slide, because keep in mind, it's eccentric, so you don't want it canted to a... You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? So, okay. For those of you who haven't shot a centerfire 9mm pistol silencer with a conventionally designed booster assembly similar to the one from Knight's Armament, that Joe Godini helped design when he was at Knight's, that a lot of people have copied this design, this booster design, right? The Nielsen device, the inertial decoupler. It has teeth, and you can pull the silencer away from the gun, compressing the spring in the inertial decoupler assembly, and you can rotate the silencer and then let it come back, and it will be a different rotationally aligned index point. Oftentimes that's done to change a point of impact shift on a pistol. In the case of the AAC Illusion 9, it is done to align it to be top dead center. I've been told that it really doesn't even shift point of impact that much, which is like this is another crazy thing. This is such a crazy silencer to me. So yeah, you do that. And what I'm saying is, like, even if it's not really top dead center, when you do that with the Illusion 9, it still looks like it's centered on the gun. And it's all about the dimensions of it. And that's the way Mike designed it. And I'm like, oh my God, how smart. How smart is this design? How smart is it? You can disassemble it by hand. I mean, I'm picky. I am a picky silencer consumer. This is a nice product. This is actually one of the, in my opinion, this is one of the coolest silencers I've ever had the pleasure of handling, shooting, or owning. I like the finish. I like how it actually lets you see your sights, like for real. I like how it's not too heavy. I like how I can take apart take out the front cap without a tool. You can take the rear cap off too, but to remove the piston from the inertial decoupler, you do have to use a tool for that, and it comes with a tool. That's a little plastic tool. That's fine. Not a big deal. Because you can remove the whole housing by hand, on the back there. So how does it sound? Well, I do need to sound test it. It's not going to be the quietest thing ever, but hey, I will say, it will definitely suffice for a home defense setup right now. If you know what I'm saying. Just saying. I'm just hypothetically saying it works well in the house. Hypothetically. Seems good. Functions well. Not crazy loud. Seems good. Okay. All in all, I wish they still made it, dude. I really do. I'm going to test it for you and for the industry so we know how it stacks up. So we can know if perhaps this type of thing is worth pursuing. Maybe someone out there listening is going to take it upon themselves to create something like this again. That would be so dope. Be so cool. It's not a simple silencer. This is not simple. And I feel like, what I really feel like? I feel like a lot of designs that AAC made are not simple. Or at least they're deceptively simple. I just think a lot of their stuff is cool. I almost wish I had really got into them more back in the day, but I'm glad I'm doing it now. I guess one of my regrets is that I didn't do it earlier because they're gone. But on the other hand, it's cool because now I kind of have the means to get more into them. So I have more, silencers are more accessible to me now. So I'm lucky in that way. But at the same time, I do have a regret that I wasn't into some of this before because I think there were a lot of silencers that I could have enjoyed and learned about that I didn't. So I'll have to make up for some lost time, but this one's cool. I find this to be a very complex silencer. I think it's cool. I think it's worth studying. It's very unique. I'm not sure if there's anything like it right now. It reminds me of the old Maxim stuff. Just in the general way it is. The general design. It's cool. I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe there's going to be a brand new one of these and someone's working on it right now and I don't know and they're about to launch it. Who knows? That's the fun part. We get to find out. Okay, topic 5. Let's go to topic 5 at a time of 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 24 seconds. Welcome to new Pew Science members. Thank you for your support. Man, thank you so much to you guys. This is getting, man. You guys do know, I just want to take a moment to say, you guys do know that your enthusiasm and your support is the reason Pew Science is able to grow. And there have been some industry entities that are very large speaking with us about the growth. And I don't know, maybe helping us, maybe not. We're in talks with some folks. It's really great, really encouraging to me. And a lot of that type of progress, I don't want to jinx it, but a lot of that progress is really stemming from the enthusiastic support that I've received from you guys, the members that are joined that kind of put their money where their mouth is, and it's like, look, I don't want to sell you a membership. I'm just saying it's pretty cheap, man. It's like, I don't know, hey, not everyone can pay that. I get it, dude. You never have to worry about that. If you don't want to join, don't. But those of you who do, I think you realize it's a pretty small, and I'm keeping the price the same. We're coming up on a year, guys. This month, the end of this month, this will be the 1 year anniversary of the Silencer Sound Standard. It's coming up at the end of the month. So I just want to let you know that that's happening, and I'm so pleased that that's a thing, and it's a reality, and it just warms my heart, and we've come a long way in that time. And so I owe it to you guys. I really do, all of you. Yeah. I wouldn't be here without you. Okay. So with that, thank you so much for the support. Stay tuned for a new review this week. Now that it's been doing this for almost an hour and a half, I gotta get going and start writing. Stay tuned for that data. I think you'll find it interesting at the very least and useful at the very best. So that will be coming later this week. Stay safe, have fun, and I'll talk to you folks again soon. Okay, bye.